Wait. This is 87.
Episode 87, because I've checked.
87.
Uh,
87.
First of all, how are you doing, Lee?
Yeah. After last night, I'm quite happy. We've got Dominic on today,
Mm-hmm.
and my boys' league team played Dominic's boys' league team last night, and it was a close game, but I got the win. I'm happy. Got Dominic on. We're going to speak about Leeds. We're going to
This
speak
doesn't
about.
get any better, does it?
The meeting is logged. You cannot leave. But I'll delegate responsibility to you, sir, to introduce our guest today.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to reverse this. I'm going to do it the way you do it on your podcast, Dominic. I'm
Oh,
going to get you.
Look at us just deflecting responsibility so easily. I'm
Yeah,
so proud of us,
absolutely.
man.
Batting this shit away. No, I'll do you a little introduction. Dominic has his own podcast. He is a very respectable coach within the Elgin and Elgin Sports Community Trust setup. Um, Big football fan, big football manager fan.
yeah,
Uh, for Dominic, I'm right in thinking you're 16 years old.
yeah.
Yeah, for 16 years old, I've probably never met anyone with such a big knowledge of football in my life. So yeah, I thought, and Dominic has his own podcast as well. So I thought there's like too many avenues here not to have a podcast yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome, Dominic.
Yeah, thank you. I was worried I'd have to think of something on the spot then.
No, don't worry. We're always a
this is me.
constant bag of nerves on this. But
So,
it's
yeah.
interesting how we've got you on now, because we actually had a conversation about you at the start of the year before we actually even knew that you lived in the area, right?
Bit worried.
No, it was I was reading a book by Dr. Luke Bearden, who I know that you've spoke to a couple of times, and I ended up seeing if he had done any like podcasts on the internet and that, and I came across one of the conversations, sorry, that you'd had with him,
Yeah.
and I was wanting to get him on, and we can kind of go on and talk about why later on, but I was saying to Lee, there was this young dude that was talking to him, yourself, and I was like very impressed, and I thought the chat was really good. And then as I watched a few more of your podcasts, I seen that you'd done a chat with the Elgin City chairman at the time, Graham Tatters, and I was like, really, like, why, like, it just seemed a bit
Why
random,
Elgin?
right? Because I still didn't realize that you were living as we did with Billy as well, right? When we had Billy Strachan on, we're like, this dude's not in Moray, and all of a sudden we're now realizing the podcast market for Moray is more saturated than what we thought. We kind of thought we were trailblazers at the time, but it's crazy that conversation happened in January, and now 5 months later, Lee knows you pretty well through the football coaching and stuff like that, and it's all happened organically. But yeah, a bit of a ramble by me, but thank you very much for coming on.
No, keep rambling. I'm enjoying listening. It's fine. It's just, but yeah, no. Luke was good. Like, to be fair, Luke Beard, he just kept going. The conversation went on a bit too long, but I'd rather it do that than it feels forced.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I guess like the kind of first like question, quote unquote, I have is how did the podcast start? Like, what kind of give you the motivation to get something like that started?
I've got it a few years ago, so I think it was just before lockdown. I was like, because obviously, you watch stuff, you listen to stuff, and I'm thinking I might as well try that. Then obviously when lockdown hit, I just had a lot of free time, so I'd planned it all anyway. I was all ready to go, and then lockdown just meant I could just bash out interviews and just keep recording. So it just kept going. At first it just meant to be me and my mates chatting, but they just were crap to listen to be honest with you. Like, I've listened to a few of them back, and half me wanted to delete them, but then it just wouldn't like go in order, would it?
Mhm.
Wouldn't however many. So I got someone on for an interview, like a family friend, just to see how I was at interviewing, Tim. And then I thought I like that. I like talking to people, and I like listening to people. So I got Anna Getty on for our second interview from the Chase. It just went from there. To be
Not a
honest
bad
with you.
guest.
No, not bad. And say it was second as well.
Yeah.
I've saved the phone number just so I can say, look, I know celebrity. I've not messaged her since because I don't want her to block me.
Quite right, man.
But I've saved it there.
So how do you go about reaching out to people? Is it just as simple as reaching out to people and dropping like a direct message or something like that, or
Email usually gets the most responses because not many people use email, unless it's professional.
yeah?
Rarely does Instagram get anybody or Facebook or anything like that. So just email them and see if they come on. I was meant to have. I shouldn't really say it, but they bailed out. So it's their fault. I don't know if Christine McGuinness come on. Like they asked me to come on the show, which I was like, well, this is a bit different. I'm not used to getting asked if you can come on, and then they didn't do it, which was a bit of a ball ache. But I found out why because a few days later she released her own diagnosis of autism and she had a documentary and everything like that. So I was like, fair enough, you were quite busy. But it went from me asking people to now most of my guests are people that have asked to come on, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah. I've had I can't be bothered pulling it up now because it'll be too much silence for you to edit. But I've had a fair few that have asked to come on, which is quite cool. I've had to say no to a few though, just because in a nice way I didn't think it'd be interesting enough. I didn't say it like that to them. I did say it more of a like, I don't have the time, and I don't really, but they just no. If I say no, it's usually because I don't feel like the conversation's interesting enough for me to make the time.
Yeah, because there's definitely like a thing where you can stop doing it for your own kind of enjoyment of it, right? And just being like, I need to get these churned out. And we were just kind of talking about that before we kind of came on about the whole getting a bit intoxicated with numbers and stuff like that. But do you get nervous before speaking to people and stuff like that? Or
not really. Just I think I did, but obviously I started coaching, so now I'm used to speaking to like 20 kids at once. And I think that really helped with the interviews. It just meant like, oh, this is only one person. It's fine. It's not too bad. And I think it helps as well when I own the podcast. Like if I mess up, I can edit it out.
Yeah.
It's easy days. Like
yeah.
Whereas now I'd have to ask you to edit it out if I mess up, which I won't do. But you never know. But no, I won't say I get nervous. I just get impatient because I always set myself up like half an hour before the interview.
Yeah.
I'm good to go. But that's stupid.
Because then there's the wait. Yeah.
That's the issue. It's just impatience, to be honest with you. Dying.
Is there anyone on your podcast that you'd like to get on, Dominic, that's like kind of realistic for yourself?
Realistic, probably not. In fact, I won't mind the returning guest. Does a returning guest count?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I had Rich Scanella on. He was a drummer, and he drummed like a backup drummer for like Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen, Lady Gaga once, stuff like that. Loads of different bands. But it got good feedback with that episode. But I think I was rubbish at interviewing then. Like I feel like I could have got a lot more out of him if I did the interview again. But I just haven't asked him. It's that simple, to be honest. But that's not a bad shout because Rich was really nice. Like, he gave you loads of time. He gave you loads of like. He went in depth for all his answers. He didn't just give yes or no answers, which is nothing worse than a yes or no answer, is there? Like, but he was good. So I won't mind him on again. If I can go unrealistic, I'd really like Bruce Springsteen on. I don't even listen to old music, but I'll really like Bruce Springsteen's music. So I could have him on that, but that'd be entertaining.
Yeah, of course. Rock and roll legend, man. But I've just got like some of the guests that I've watched the episodes of. So we mentioned Dr. Luke. How did you come into contact with him? Because he's a really interesting guy that's obviously a well kind of published author in that on the topic of autism, and he does like a master's down south for university and stuff like that, doesn't he?
Yeah, I can't remember if it was either my mum had read a book that he wrote, or because I also used to like, I want to say, I'll say help out because I did do stuff at stalls with a charity in Moray, Friendly Access, to do like surfing and that. I helped out with them like at stalls because I was a participant with him. I can't remember if they recommended him or my mum read a book. It might have been a bit of both. They might have both known them, and I thought, oh well, I'll send him an email, and he got back straight away, like more than happy to do that. So he came on the show, and it were a good chat. And I think I brought him on again not too long after, and I think did it go over 2 hours?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, because there's a point where he was like, I've actually got to go to bed now or something.
Yeah. We had one interview that we started at 9, and I didn't get to bed until 2:30.
Wow.
Not all of it was recorded.
Yeah, it was obviously like editing and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, I think it was with Phil Pierce, who we can go into later. But if anyone wants to look, I had to split it into 3 episodes. That's how long it was.
Jeez.
I don't mind them going over 2 hours, but once it gets over 2 hours, no. I don't mind. Yeah, 2 hours is like my break-off point. I think like 6 or something stupid.
Yeah, because
What's the longest episode of the Northeast Corner then?
Pardon?
I think it's 2 hours 15 minutes, and this was like
amateurs.
This was like when we were filming in like 4K video, mate. So it took like 12 hours to upload. This is like the early days of me becoming into like the whole kind of frames per second and metadata and all this kind of, you know, technical stuff. But that was when I was doing YouTube as well. Whereas like the YouTube kind of version of it just, now that there's obviously the video option with Spotify as well, it just kind of makes sense to centralize it and put it all in one place where, you know, I'm getting like 10 emails from YouTube a year about, well, we're changing this guideline, we're changing this guideline. I was like, I can't really be bothered keeping up with this. You know?
I've got a question, Dominic, about your autism, if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah. No worries.
So I used to be a support worker for people with autism. That's kind of like how I met Ryan and things. Ryan actually didn't receive his diagnosis till he was 2 years older than you are just now. Can I ask how old you were when you received your diagnosis?
I think I was 9. Yeah, 9, 10-ish, around about that age.
And was there any kind of like support in place for you, or did you need any support, or was it just kind of like something a wee bit different for yourself?
So my mum had been trying to get the diagnosis since I was about 3. So that's a fair while to be trying to get a diagnosis. And the reason it took so long was because they said I didn't need the support. One teacher, when I don't know, I moved back up here, and one teacher just said she don't believe that I've got it, even though it was a literal diagnosis. She said, I don't believe that I've got it because I'm too capable, which was a bit of a backwards view.
Yeah, it's a stereotype, isn't it, really? That just because you've got autism means you can't. Yeah.
So I never really got the support because I'm not sure. I hardly understood it, never mind people around me, so I can't blame them for that. So that's why it took so long. So not really, not much support. But although when I went to secondary school, I think my first year or so, I was quite, I don't know what's the word, maybe like a mix between burnt out and anxious all the time. And they were really good, but I didn't really communicate what I needed well enough, I don't think, if I'm looking back. But they were really good, and they did try to support. So it's not like the option wasn't there. When I got old, I just didn't know how to use it, I've decided.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. And can you relate to what Dominic's saying, Ryan?
Yeah, and I think you've probably got a pretty unique perspective on this, Dominic, right? Because you've lived in 2 different areas over the course of your life, so it's like a kind of good comparison. Like, can you kind of give a difference of maybe how support was accessible up here compared to like down? Was it Leeds that you were based when you were down south, or?
So when I'm from Leeds, my dad's in the RAF, so I moved up here. Then we moved somewhere called Coningsby. It's like near Lincoln. It's like
right. So even like the south of England, yeah.
So it was like, I think it was in Coningsby that the ball started rolling with everything, and they were. It was meant to be a pretty rubbish school, the one that I went to. So they'd been given a lot of funding to make their life easier and stuff. So I'm not sure if that played a part in it, that they just had a bit more stuff available to them to help with that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I might be incorrect. I'm just throwing stuff out there.
I would assume that you're very correct, because I made a documentary on this kind of topic around this area last year, and one of the things that we kind of constantly heard from people we were speaking to was funding and the lack of funding, which I don't think is just in this kind of sector, right? I think it's Moray as a whole. When and you try to bring anything up, it's well, yeah, we don't have money for that. So
Someone works for Elgin, for God's sakes. He's probably used to that.
But I suppose like I do relate in a way, right? But you know, Luke Bearden, who I had on, makes a great point. Like, just because 2 people have a similar diagnosis or whatever doesn't mean that they understand other people's situations, right? Like, I'm someone that's now like involved with like the NHS and the council as like a response to the film, right? Because they want to try and adapt issues that were taken from that and trying to improve them going forward. And I've had a few meetings with them, and they're like, "Well, what do you
class yourself as an advisor, mate?"
Yeah, I feel a little bit unprofessional for that though. Like,
you don't need to be. Life experience makes people give advice. It's not always qualifications.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, the way that they kind of put it across to me was, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "Well, that's the wrong question to begin with, because I could give my ideas and it's not going to work for everyone." I mean, that's the whole problem, in my opinion, is they want a silver bullet effect that just works for everyone, and it's just not realistic, is it? So, and it's all kind of comes under the whole neurodiversity banner, right? Like, diversity is literally in the name,
Yeah.
So like I think what I would say is as much kind of frustration there was making that, there was also a lot of hope in that gain from it from some of the people that we met through the likes of James and Lock Park and the kind of progressive work that they're doing, and likes of Karen Adam that's in the Scottish Parliament that's got a child that's on the spectrum and wants to change things for the better and stuff. So it was a bit of a 50-50 experience at the end. I kind of thought it would be like, this is going to be brutal when I do this. Like, it's just going to like ruin all my kind of hope. But even with Dr. Luke, I think he's like a really unique guy that has a very unique kind of take on it all and that, and like he makes some very powerful points, right? Like one that like stands out is he was talking about the funding from like the whole kind of UK government as a whole, and talking about the kind of accommodations or help to make people's lives better wouldn't actually cost the government anymore. It might even cost them less than what they're doing now to have to maybe help people out that have went through like trauma and stuff like that are maybe not in such a good place for trying to fit into mainstream life, quote unquote.
Yeah, it's he's all over Spotify because like
Yeah.
I initially looked him up through your podcast, Dominic, and then I just kind of typed his, as you do, just you go on your podcast, you type in the search bar, and there must be about 30, 40 different podcasts he's on.
Mm-hmm.
He's very well liked within like a little, I'd say like a little community, to be fair, online. There seems to be a lot of good stuff said about him. And it deserves, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. He's obviously
Very nice.
like published tons of books now on
Yeah.
different kind of topics to do with it. He teaches a master's. I think he goes abroad as well to do like talks on, you know what I mean? Like he's everywhere. So he did say that he would come on, but I think he's a bit busy at the moment. But I will try again. Perseverance is key. Moving on, the next guest I was going to bring up, we're all pretty big FM buffs, it's fair to say, on here. So you had Zealand on. How did that come about, and what was that one that you maybe got nervous for? Because I would assume that you had been watching this guy beforehand and that, because he's obviously such a massive influencer in the Football Manager realm.
So obviously I've been watching him and I thought, forget it, I'll get him on. I might as well try, because on YouTube you can like get their emails or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah. So I got the email. I thought might as well send one. Worst case is he just doesn't answer. So or he says no, easy days. So I sent an email and it was quite quick. I think it was literally the next day. More than happy, when and where sort of thing. Like, you just give me the details and I'll do it. So I sent that. It was like, yep, Zoom, this date work, so and so. We just kept going. I think that one was quite a long episode as well. Because he was just finished a stream. So I stayed and watched the whole stream. I normally like watch half of it and I go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
But I stayed and watched the full stream. He went over as well, which kind of bugged me because I was shattered after for an interview. By the time the interview came, we were both knackered. We had a little break so we could go get like coffee and that and just have something to eat. Otherwise, I don't think we'd have made it through it. So that one I got quite late for. But he was really nice as well. And although you could tell he was tired, he was still putting in effort into the interview and trying to make it good.
Mm-hmm.
What's random as well was, so a few months later, I saw, it might be on one of his videos, a sponsorship, like this football club. It was a bit doomed, to be honest with you. It was like one of these crowdfunder ones, but I thought I'd get involved with them just like on their social media stuff, just because I thought I wanted to be involved in football at this point. And Zealand was an advisor for them, like a bit of a shareholder. They collapsed. They went to dust. It was quite funny, but I was on there. So I met Zealand again, and he recognised me, but he wasn't quite sure where from. So it was by Zoom, and he was like, "I know you." I'm thinking, yeah, because we chatted for like 2.5 hours. But again, yeah, he's really nice, and it was just really good to have him on the show, to be honest with you. And he knows a lot about football. It's
and
it's everything's stored up there.
He's an interesting dude, right? Because is he based in the US? I believe
Think
so. Yeah. So like,
he moved, but I can't remember where he moved to.
I know
still somewhere New York, was it?
Yeah, I'd imagine. So that's where both, it's either LA or New York for successful people in it. But
would make sense.
It's interesting, and I know like the kind of Americas, or well, North America, I should say. It's always been big in South America, but are getting more and more engaged in football. But I do find it interesting, like, because I used to watch a lot of his videos as well for like formation guides and stuff like that. And I was just thinking, like, this is crazy, because like when I was younger, it was kind of taught, Americans don't like football; they're all into like basketball and softball and don't know. I don't know if they have netball over there. I don't want to assume anything, but sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Lee, save me here, dude.
Yeah, no. It's just weird what you're saying there about like knowledge of football with New Zealand and things. Do you like? I like to think I've got a decent knowledge of football. I've not got a massive like. I've like my dad's been to 3 World Cups, following Scotland and things like that, and he could probably tell you 10 times the things I could tell you about football. You know, going back to like the 60s and the 70s. That's why I don't feel like I've got a huge knowledge. My knowledge stretches back to like early 90s and not much before then. I could tell you maybe famous players of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, but that's about it. Do you feel that you've picked up a lot of your football knowledge like I have, like Zealand would have had through Football Manager itself?
Yeah, I think you just become really good at geography from Football Manager, to be honest with you.
Unreal, yeah. You can name capitals all over the world.
You just like remember like random city teams and all that jazz. But yeah, I think it does help because you like find these little gems. Like I was absolutely banging on about Phil Foden for ages before he became like half decent. Like Haaland as well was quite good in that game. But then you obviously,
Sorry, keep going. No,
but then obviously you get like these players that become really good in your saves that are absolutely honking in real life that you remember, which kind of ruins it a little bit. I think.
Have you ever seen the documentary where Alex McLeish's son found Messi?
Yeah, I've read the thing about it. Yeah, that's mad.
And he's telling his dad to sign this 14-year-old kid. And he's in the Barcelona B team. His dad's just like having none of it.
Is this when he was manager of Rangers?
This is when he was manager of Rangers.
Quality.
And his son found this kid on Football Manager like 2007, 2008, something like that. Or it had been before that, 04, 05.
Aye.
And he's telling his dad that there's this 14-year-old kid in Barcelona B. You need to sign him in real life. And his McLeish just turned his nose up at it. So that kid was messy, like, yeah.
I can't remember if there was another like version of the story. It might have been false, where they kind of like semi-approached them and they offered them like, was it Iniesta or something random? But Iniesta didn't want the move, which fair enough. You could live in Barcelona. I can't remember if it was him, but it's like fair.
There's so many clubs that use it. Like, do you not notice like everyone's been going on about the big move to Benfica this year? Andreas Schelderup. Like how many seasons has he been good on FM for? Like we heard about this guy when he was 15. You know?
And it's good at predicting, right? Because a lot, like, you know, in other sports games, like I've not played it since I was a kid, but like something like FIFA, where they would like kind of just have the mainstream players in there, like they wouldn't have Haaland as a prospect until he's banged 60 million goals in one game. You know what I mean? Like, but the thing I love about FM is the immersion of it. And that's like one thing that you don't expect before you've actually played the game. Like there's points where I've had my head in my hands because I've lost this wonder kid to someone that's outbid me. And it's not like just easy to like sign players and that. And I was like, wow, I'm getting too into this. I need to go to sleep.
You can never sit down for a cheeky half hour. You've got to be there for 6 hours on nothing.
Yeah.
All or nothing.
I totally agree, man. Me and Ryan had an online save for the first time last year. Like it got so like competitive. Like I wouldn't even speak to my missus when I was like I am in that on that pitch, you know, especially games where we played each other.
The games that we played each other weren't competitive.
No, you beat me 3 or 4 times. Here, conference winner, Europa Conference League winners. Thank you very much.
I mean, to be fair, you called me a vampire in the press conference, so I had to let the hounds out on you. I needed to tell you, teach you some respect. But
we've with our own group chat with Dominic and a few of the other coaches from the boys. We started an FM challenge a few weeks ago, but I'm the only one that's actually stuck to it.
My issue is I start a save each game, and I start loads of saves. But there's always one save that I just keep going back to, and it's always a journeyman. Like I just like the idea of once I've done a job, I can move on. Like sometimes that job can take like a year. Sometimes it'll be like 23 seasons at one club. I think I sent you my timeline on one save, didn't I? I had like 23 years at Watford and then 200 days at Celtic just because I thought Watford was more entertaining. About 20 spells of England manager.
There was a heap of other national teams in there as well, though.
Guinea-Bissau, France under 23s alongside Elgin City. Because I went to the save stopped working. So I think I got to 27 or something, and I was like, it was the Olympics, and I was like, I've not won that yet because I came runners up in with Portugal. I thought I need to win that before this save stops working. So I took the France one, and we just about won on penalties. But then I was at Elgin at the time because I just kept feeding them loans when I was at good clubs to get them up the leagues. Like
Yeah.
they were in the Premier League at that point, or Premiership. And I won a few things with them, like a few Scottish Cups. But I went back to Watford, who I'd been at for ages in the Championship, ready to get them promoted again. Because when I was there, we'd won like everything, and then the save just stopped working. I was gutted. Like it was about to be like the best cycle arc ever. Like been a legend at this club. I've walked away. I've come back, and then it stopped working. I was gutted. Not as good as when I got sacked by Bayern Munich once. Like, how do you manage that? That's poor.
Julian
Like,
Nagelsmann managed it.
Yeah, fair point.
Tuchel nearly managed it in the same season.
To be fair, I was 8th in the league. I don't know how that had worked out. It was an FM 19. I was 8th in the league, and I can't remember who they got into replacement, but their preferred formation was exactly what I was playing. It looked like they were playing the exact same thing, and they went on to come like second and win the Champions League. I'm thinking, if you kept me, I'd have done that. But no, I was fuming. I've never managed in any German club since. I don't like it. Can't do it. I just no.
What kind of year are you starting playing FM? Were you been 16?
I think I've been at a few mates. It was before FM 19. It might have been like FM 17 or something. FM 17 or FM 18, something like that. So quite recent.
Mad, I feel old. I'm talking like CM 98, 99s where I
Yeah,
was
no.
starting.
I think I
Always
was
been football manager. Always been football manager.
2005, or that might have been LMA manager. Do you remember that as well?
LMA manager was brilliant because you could build your stadiums.
Mm.
Yeah, loved all that. No, I was 98, 99, and we had an old AOL PC, and I don't know where I got the disc from, but it had a disc.
Yeah, wasn't just as simple as Steam back then.
No, and it was all text based as well. There was no 2D game engine, 3D game engine, nothing like that. But I still have that now, and I will still go back and play that now because you can do today's database with it. You can do
Oh,
a 1940s database with it. You can do a 60s database that starts from now, and then over the next 60 years will produce all the players that would have normally been produced from them academies. So you can find Messi at 8 years old and stuff. Yeah, you can do that. Game has just taken on, since a lot of these games seem to take on like different meanings once the developers stop on them and the community gets a hold of them. You know, they can do all sorts of things. Like this year's FM, the guy's done the 98, 99 database
yeah.
for it. Oh, and the mad scientist. I think that's someone we need to try and get on the pods, Ryan, because he's unbelievable, man.
He does a lot, doesn't he? It's mad.
I follow him on Facebook, and he has 1,500 hours on FM by like November, by like end of December time, and it's all editing. He doesn't play a single game.
Yeah, it's like
That's
building
him
the debate.
and
Yeah.
20 other people creating this database. And yeah, what's your gaming hours for this year's version, Dom?
It's less than it's been before. I'll just quickly pull Steam up. Because obviously I've been coaching and working and all that jazz. So I've not played it as much for this one, but it might have been in the. Did it get to 1,000? It must have got to at least 1,000. Otherwise, that's amateur level. What was it? 23. Oh my days. 562. That's a shame.
I'm 1,246.
To be fair, this time I've been working, so you can let me off for this one.
Yeah, I should have been working.
Let me just sort this car out for you. 442.
No, do you know what my issue is? I will get on. I'll go on after Aaron's in bed, and that'll be me till like probably 12 o'clock, 1 a.m. But I fall asleep, and it's just sitting open on my lap for 3 hours, so I ain't actually doing much.
Yeah, it don't count. I can't get away from football because like football in the morning, coach it, then I'll watch a game. I'll put FM on, then the MLS might be on or some other league, and then I'll be like, oh crap, it's 2 a.m. I need to get ready for the
Ever
morning.
get tired of it, man?
Tired of football?
Yeah.
No, not really. Even before I started coaching, I was just watching every game on TV. Like I can't. I think because I didn't really play it often because my mates didn't enjoy it. So like when COVID came, for example, I didn't do what my mates enjoyed because I couldn't. So it was just football non-stop since COVID happened. Like,
Yeah.
because obviously I couldn't go out with them in COVID, and they don't really enjoy football, so I didn't do stuff with them. But now that this sounds like they're a burden, that sounds cruel. But now that I had more free time, it's just football, 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 and I'm lucky enough to get paid by being involved in football, which is just a little bit mad. Like, so it's a humble brag, but not very humble. Like,
Can we just kind of speak about how you got involved in that to start with, though?
in
Coaching and
yeah. Sorry, so
yeah,
my internet's not fair. So what's some more? I think it was 2 years ago that I started. 2 years ago, it's not even that long. I've been playing too much Football Manager, and I fancied myself as a coach. That's pretty much how it went. So I've been playing that much. I was like, you know what? I reckon I can do that. Right? Irrelevant that I've got the first touch of like a donkey. Like, I was like, I can coach that. So active schools who do like local council stuff, don't they? Like free sessions. I think they're involved with council. I don't know how they run. They have a volunteer program. So put my name down for that. So I started with their summer camp. They had a few football sessions and then a few that had Elgin City linked with them. And I enjoyed it enough. When you first start, usually you're just picking up cones or learning how it works. But I was fine with that because I knew that if I learned well enough, I'd be able to do a good session. So then, yeah, pretty much 6 months of like leading warm ups and just doing small jobs. With active schools like weekly sessions. Next to like on a school astro, for example, after school sessions, and I got said. So Craig, who runs Elgin Community, said you can lead. It was the first time he led, and he gave me a week's warning so I could like plan it. And I put like a lot of effort into like just trying to make sure I wasn't a complete disaster. um, so I did. I did the session. I can't remember how it went. I think it went okay. It wasn't like anything special, but it was fine. So then I was leading sessions, but I wasn't officially part of Elgin City at that point. I was still with Active Schools, but I was running Elgin City session, if that made sense. And Craig was just there, like mentoring me in a way. And then last summer, I'd led sessions for about a good few months at that point, like 6 months. And I'd started volunteering at that point at the Astro ESCT just next to Elgin City. So they do a more, it's very jumbled up story. My life's quite messy, you'll see. I think. Like, but they do like more academy style stuff, like a development style academy. So it's not great players that are in Elgin City. They're like the players that are just below that tend to be there. Um, it is an open thing though for anyone to come if they want. So I was doing that then, more academy style sessions. I was doing the community fun sessions of Elgin City, and then I joined Elgin in the summer to do their like summer camps and their program. So I was officially part of them. So I got the uniform and everything. So I looked quite professional. And then the SET just kept giving me more, I guess, responsibility. The word, I think so. Yeah, like you became more of a lead coach, and because I put a lot of effort into the sessions. They're all right. I'm not arrogant with much, but I like to think my coaching's all right. So
yeah,
that's just played its way to getting paid from just like knowing people, and I'm lucky that Craig, who's in charge of Elgin City, and Robbie for ESCT are both very helpful. Like they're good at like telling you what needs worked on, but not in an aggressive way, like a really simple, like you could probably have done this, should be doing that, but well done on so and so sort of thing. Just really easy stuff and good for like mentoring and that. So that just it went from there. And I think I'm doing okay. I hope I am anyway. Maybe
I,
not a boys' league though. We're not going to talk about boys' league. That's been a disaster this season.
I
But
wouldn't say I wouldn't
I
say
blame the other
that's
club.
arrogant at all, mate. Like from what you've just said there, like there's a good quote out there. I can't remember who said it. It was like being humble is just downplaying your achievements or something like that. And like that is
Yeah,
something that's always
no,
encouraged in it. Is like, oh, you got to be modest, which in reality means don't recognize like your worth. And that, like you
yeah.
said, you were there and you learned and you've earned your way there. You've not just been like giving it for
Yeah.
just off a merit or anything like that. You know what I mean?
I've not done a Frank Lampard. I've just gone straight for a top job. Like,
Uh,
I have to start picking up coins. I have to do that hard stuff.
I think
Uh,
he's going back to picking up cones. I think that's where he's going after
I hope so. I did what did actually help. Now I think about it. So when I was involved with the I never thought of it really, but the surfing charity, I'd been asked to take a few of their warm ups. I think they knew that I was always there. I was like, I think my official role was like young ambassador or something because it was promoting them on the podcast. Um, But I took a few warm-ups and I really enjoyed it. I just tag games and that, and just supervising it and doing a few demonstrations. But because friendly access is for people with like disabilities and extra needs and that, very quickly, like my first like experience at seeing what coaching is like behind the scenes was where you needed a little bit more patience. So I think it helped that as soon as I transferred over to football, I already had like them skills of I knew that everybody would develop at a different speed. I knew that you just had to be nice to them and eventually it'll work out, sort of thing. But I didn't have to like learn the stuff like that, the crappy stuff that some coaches struggle with because I'd already had a little experience doing that. Not a lot, because I wasn't teaching them how to surf. I was literally just playing a tag game on the warm up with them, sort of thing, on the beach. But I think that helped out in a way.
That perspective made you better at man management. Would it be fair to say?
Maybe man management's the word. I don't like saying man management when I'm like coaching 8-year-olds sometimes though, because it doesn't feel the same. But yeah, I guess technically man management. Yeah.
So
There was no man management last night, I can tell you that.
Wembley. I'm allowed to name drop him. It's the first name. It's fine. But yeah, but the other coach, I've told him it's the issue anyway. Don't worry.
Can I just point out as well? Are you wearing a Corinthians top, Dominic?
Yeah, I went to America
There's a
last
team
year.
called Corinthians in the boys' league, so I'm going to tell Colin you're supporting his team.
We're playing his team on Wednesday, I think. We're playing his team. Yeah, I won't be
I
wearing
dare you to go down wearing that top and stand on Colin's side.
It's so funny. For 20 quid, I'll do it. I don't even know why I've got it. I think I went to America and I just had loads of like spare money on my last day. So I just went to like a soccer shop that they had and I just spent loads of money on shirts. Why not? And I didn't even know who these were when I picked it up. I just thought, that looks nice. I'll have that.
yeah, it's Brazilian champions, Corinthians.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't read the badge though. I just liked the white shirt, white and black. But that looks right enough.
I envy a lot, like even with players, like when they have like the shirt memorabilia for all the like players that they've met and swap shirts. But I think that's cool.
Yeah, although I don't think I'll ever get to a level where we're swapping shirts because right now at welfare, I don't want any like. No offense to the welfare teams, but I don't need a Mossick Tavern shirt there and a Viking shirt there. Albeit their shirts are quite nice.
Apologies, Melissa.
No apologies whatsoever. They won't want one of our shirts either. It's fine. Although the Viking shirt's quite nice. I like the Viking shirt. Have you seen them? I really like the Viking shirt. I don't mind one of them.
Maybe try and find his manager.
I've got a question.
Speak about welfare, Dom. You want to speak about welfare as well? Because it's not just kids
if you want. So we started an adult team, and I can't remember if I asked Robbie or if he asked me just if I could like do the little jobs with the adult team, just because in the end that's the end goal in it. There's more money in adult football, so I'd like to get used to adult football because I like money. So I went there to help them, and it just eventually took to more of a. I think officially I'm assistant manager there, which is quite fancy. So I do their match day warm ups for them, and we have two squads at the SCT. So we've got the former squad and the development squad. So the former squad were the main team who play the games. The development squad, like anybody can come in and play there. So I take the development squad for their sessions, and then on any extra weeks, if the former squad get 2 training sessions, I'll be more involved with them as well. And adult football, because in a way it's quite hard. Because if I was putting it into perspective, say we've got someone 20, right, and they're to a 16-year-old, I wouldn't be listening to a 12-year-old if they were coaching me, or at least I'd struggle to. So it's quite hard in that way, like think about how I can present myself. But credit to them, they do respect me, and it's not like condescending or anything. It's not like it's out of pity. They do. I like to think it's because I deliver decent enough sessions, but it's probably just because they just like football, so they're happy to go along with it.
I would say it's the former, mate. Like a lot, like that kind of, not taking authority from down on the age chain. That's like something that just happens in all workplaces, right? I think a lot of people, when they're older, if someone's younger as their boss, feel a bit intimidated by that for whatever reason. But if someone displays that they know what they're doing and they're very adequate at their skills, then the respect does come, right? Like, because you see, even in modern day football now, the managers are getting younger and younger and younger, like 35 years old and that. Like, I think of Nagelsmann was like, what was he, 33 when he first took over at Hoffenheim or something like that. So
The reason I say I don't want to say that because I've had a few shockers with the adult squad. Like I've found out my adult sessions are either like absolutely amazing, sign me up to Man City, or they're like, nah, they're not worth anyone's time. It seems to be hit or miss. I've got, which that's what I know. I need to get some consistency with the adult squad. Like with the youth level, I think I've got a level of consistency where you know what I'm getting. I know that I'll deliver a decent enough session. With adult, it's very hit or miss at the moment.
It's
I
just
like
a
to think I'm
learning
getting more hits
process, though, isn't
though
it?
the past month. Past month's been quite good. I've been happy with how the past month's gone.
It's just a learning process, though, isn't it? You got to go
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
the good and the bad to figure out what works. I've got a question for all three of us.
Okay.
What is our earliest football memory? I think it's going to be very different, right? Because Lee's a couple of years older than me, and obviously I'm in my mid-20s and you're 16, so it's going to be from three different eras, I think, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Okay, who's going first? You go first,
I,
Ryan.
I think you go first, Lee. Just
My
you
earliest football memory, okay, is do you remember the Celtic Bumblebee strip?
Yeah. Is that not
Yeah,
from like,
in
was that in the 90s or was that the early?
1996
Right,
Bumblebee
okay. Because
strip.
did they not have one like
And
late 2000s as well?
yeah,
Yeah.
they had one then as well, yeah, but it was 1996 Bumblebee strip, and Celtic were in the middle of getting 9 in a row put past them by Rangers. But we had a front three of Pierre Van Hooijdonk, Paolo Di Canio, and George Cadetti. And that was just like unbelievable for Scottish football at the time. But I just remember Paolo Di Canio in a Bumblebee top, and he left Celtic a year later. So yeah, that is my first memory. And yeah, that's pretty much Henrik Larsson signed the next year, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
That is my childhood. That man, yeah, it's like I suppose if you speak to any person my age, 5 years older, 5 years younger than me, and they're a Celtic fan, they'll tell you that man's their idol and always will be, and there'll probably be nobody ever better than them. So that's kind of my earliest memory, plus like what got me into football as well. You go next, Ryan.
So, I mean, I wouldn't say I came to football late, but I was about 6 or 7. It was about 2002. And my mum worked in the pub across the road at the time, right? And I wasn't actually at the pub. I was just going in with her because she was getting keys or something like that for her shift the next day. And the Champions League final was on, and that year it was at Hampden, Real Madrid, Bayer Leverkusen, and we had just gotten into
2001.
2001. Sorry,
Yeah.
so we had just gotten into the pub as Zinedine Zidane scored that. Still in my mind from seeing it just live, not live, but like on the TV, is like the greatest Champions League goal that's ever been scored. Kind of because it was in Scotland at the same time. I know Gareth Bale's one against Liverpool gives it a good run for its money, but yeah, that's the first time I ever remember watching football. And then I think it was the 2002 World Cup. It was not too long after that, and then started following Celtic, and yeah, that's all spiraled from there. But the Zinedine Zidane left foot volley at Hampden is the first thing that flashes in front of my eyes when I think about football.
Okay.
Dominic.
I'm quite unfortunate being from Leeds and then living in Elgin because neither team has been great recently. But I think what came first was because I'm undecided between two. I think what came first was I was in my living room watching a Leeds game. We're in the Championship. We had like this all gold kit. Like it looked. I can't say if it looks minging or amazing. It's a bit of a. I don't know. It depends what mood I'm in. But we were just rubbish. And one of my mates from Leeds was like, their favourite player was. I must have been young, so they didn't know much about football. Their favourite player was. I can't remember, who was it? It was some striker. Some striker. Um, but then he missed an absolute sitter, and I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Like, and being
Sounds like
Leeds,
Jermaine Beckford.
Jermaine Beckford. No, because we won a few games with Jermaine Beckford. I don't think he was the old goal kit. Because yeah, I was quite unfortunate that I just about missed the getting promoted from League One, so I was there just for the long championship slog. Like that's what I got. I didn't really enjoy football at that point. Or what might have came earlier was when I got took down to watch an Elgin game with my mates, and it was so boring that we just started like playing tag on the hill. Like it wasn't a great game. Um, I must have been about I don't know 7 or something. But yeah, I can't decide between them two.
Mad. I could give you some early Elgin memories, things I've seen at Elgin. So I've seen Andy Gordon play for Elgin.
Oh yeah, the former
Um,
Rangers goalkeeper.
former Rangers and
Former
Scotland
Manchester
goalie.
United goalkeeper as well.
Man United
Yeah.
goalie. Was he not part of the treble winning team?
Yeah, but he didn't play though, did he?
Not part of the team.
He was part. He was probably
Scott
Carson's part of a
Carson.
treble winning team.
probably at the after party. He was the Scott Carson of that team.
But yeah, I seen him play for Elgin. We got beat 5-0 by Arbroath, I think it was. Yeah, I seen that. I seen. So what used to happen at Butterbriggs was Scotland under 20 and under 21 international games used to happen at Butterbriggs. And I'd have to look up the lineup from that night, but I remember seeing like Scotland versus Ireland under 21 games at Butterbriggs. But when I remember Leeds when they were good, Dominic.
I'm glad someone does.
Was it
Yeah.
Dermot O'Leary that was the manager when they would like finish in the top four? I think they got to. Did they not get to a Champions League semi-final one year as
Against
well?
Valencia.
Yeah.
We bottled it. I think as much as he gets a lot of credit with the squad he had, how he didn't win anything is a little bit of an underachievement. It was still very good, but he should probably like just even win a league cup or something. Like because that team was.
You guys took Viduka from Celtic.
Viduka was amazing.
Harry Kewell as
Viduka
well.
was just absolute filth for like 4 or 5 seasons in that Premier League. He was just a bully, big bully. He was like an early Drogba. That's what he reminded me of.
It's just unfortunate.
But like Wayne Rooney without the pace, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you also put in players around him like Harry Kewell and Alan Smith and that, and it's like that's just.
Even
like,
the days of like
nuts.
Michael Bridges as well used to be a decent player, but I think they sold him to Chelsea or something like that in the late 90s.
Bridges, you had all this the Scottish guy Dominic Barstow. He was a player. I listened to his Under the Caution interview recently, actually, and he's there with he's there with Neil Sullivan, and they're in their hotel room before this France '98 World Cup, and they're both Englishmen, and they're getting their kilts on. They just turned each other and like play for Scotland against Brazil in a World Cup today. Like none of them would ever get near the England team in a million years. Here they are playing against Brazil, opening up the World Cup. But we've spoke about it quite recently on the podcast and through messaging, Ryan. There's quite a lot of famous football players from round about here. Like Scotland captain Colin Hendry. You've got somebody who's played for Celtic and Rangers, Stephen Presley.
Colin Hendry won the Premier League as well with Blackburn.
Was he the captain at the time?
I'm not sure if he was the captain, but he was.
It might have been. It's either him or Sherwood. Can't remember.
Imagine if it was Sherwood. God.
Yeah.
I think I've got a feeling it might have been Sherwood. Yeah. But just like the fact that someone from Keith has a Premier League winners medal kind of blows my mind a little bit.
Yeah,
someone from Lossy has an FA Cup winners medal.
I'll give you an even crazier fact about Colin Hendry. He now tours around the world and plays football for ACDC football team.
I saw that's not right.
ACDC have a football team?
But then there's so much layers, isn't there?
The band.
Right.
They've got their own football team because the Geordie, that's the lead singer, is a huge Newcastle fan.
Right,
and plays
okay.
football and stuff. So Colin Hendry gets flown all around the world to play in charity games for this ACDC team.
Somehow I'm not surprised by that.
Who would win then? ACDC football team or ESCT adult squad? That's what I need to know. I'm going to get them down.
Get that match booked, Dom. Get that match booked, man.
Colin Hendry away day to the Gleaner.
What about a moment?
You want to talk about the current situation at Leeds?
I don't even know what's happening. I really don't know what's happening with the club. We have no owner. They've not officially sold the club yet, but they released a statement saying they're going through the process.
Because it's the rumor on the street is it's going to be merged with is it some San Francisco basketball team or something like that?
The 49ers, I think they're like American football or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the 49ers, they've been involved with us though for a long time. I'm not that optimistic because they've been involved in the past 2 years of crap. Like they've been in the decision making process already, and it's not worked. I'm not that optimistic, to be honest with you. And right now we're pretty much, well, up until like last week, we had the CEO as like the only, like we had our leadership team was like 3 guys. It was the chairman, Victor Otto, the director of football, and Angus Kinnear, the CEO. The chairman on the day we got relegated was in Italy trying to buy a football club. We'd sacked the director of football a few days prior. I think we sacked when we sacked Javi Gracia. And it was just Angus Kinnear pretty much as the sole guy having to run the show. So I felt a bit sorry for him. He's not really that to blame because he's just involved in like sponsorships and all the day-to-day business running stuff, which was going all right anyway. So it was just him running the show. And I think it's meant to be him that brought Big Sam in. So if he did do that, that's stupid. So I'd rather have just stuck it through with Javi Gracia at that point. I think we'd all accepted relegation.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with it is like the style just seemed to change instantly, and I think that was probably out of panic of what you were mentioning there with the relegation, right? Because they were with Bielsa for years, and then when he left, they kind of tried to continue that with a similar philosophy under Jesse Marsh, who I maintain is actually still a decent coach.
I
just think he's had a hard time at Leeds on Leipzig, and then Javi Gracia, and then they just obviously threw the book out the window and like, right, Big Sam usually keeps people up, and now it's like
I think they missed an opportunity with Sean Dyche.
Yeah, but I kind of respected the way that they were playing beforehand, right? That kind of reckless abandonment, like under Bielsa, and just like we'll just try and outscore teams. Do you know what I mean?
I think the reason we did that was because our defense was so poor. It wasn't like as a tactical thing. It was literally, if you notice, once Gracia and Sam Allardyce started going defensive, we were conceding like 7 again.
Yeah,
like, there was no point in playing defensive. Because they couldn't defend
from the front. Yeah.
I'm saying this. I'm meant to be going to the 4-Park in like this pre-season to visit. Angus Kinnear said I could come, and I'm out yesterday in the players, so they better get sold. Hopefully they don't hear this.
What's your thought? Because the rumor is that Graham Potter looks like he might be the favourite for the job. What do you think on him? Because I think he's another guy that's gotten a hard time because he went into a really bad situation at Chelsea.
Drop down. I think we're linked to Daniel Farke as well, who used to be at Norwich, and I don't think Potter will drop down. To be honest with you, I think he can still get another Premier League job.
Yeah, definitely.
And I won't mind Farke because if you look at, he got Norwich promoted twice, and if you look at the budget they had, there's no surprise they got relegated. So just give him a chance with some actual money at stake, see if he can get us back up. And there's worse choices. We were linked with Brendan Rodgers, but you guys seem to have nabbed him. Leeds.
He turned down $5 million a year at Leeds for $3 million a year at Celtic. So that should tell you all you need to know about Leeds' job.
Well, I mean, would you rather battle out in the Championship or just get an easy title? Because like, so much football's easy at this point, isn't it, for you guys?
Yeah, we're waiting by Wilfred and Didi. So
that is so crazy. That is like Erling Haaland signing level for the Scottish game. You know what I mean?
Not right, but
it's good. But I just think I think they made a mistake in getting rid of Bielsa. All the guys have been they knew the way they wanted to play. They weren't really getting the investment to keep up with the Premier League pace. Because you could see, like I remember when they first came up, I think the first game of the season was 4-3 Liverpool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, what a game. I was in Greece at the time. Was I away at the time? But we were in a pub full of Liverpool fans. And Harvey Elliott got his leg.
Oh yeah, broke his ankle.
It looked quite bad. But I went, what a tackle in a pub full of Liverpool fans. And you can imagine, as soon as I saw he stayed on the ground, I was like, oh no, I might not get out of here alive, sort of thing. That was a great game. As much as we lost, I left feeling like, yeah, we'll stay up this year.
I thought from that game, okay, Leeds have actually arrived. If this is the way they're going to be playing against likes of Liverpool, then the rest of the team are screwed, man. But they just fell apart. But I don't think he was given the right amount of money to invest in that team for the players he needed. If you'd given players like Noto did I say that right? Noto or Noto?
No idea. Everyone says it differently. Like, just go with the flow.
Players like that in a Bielsa team would have been unbelievable because that guy can run all day long. You know, Bielsa's football reminds me a little bit of what Andrew was doing at Celtic. You know, you just exhaust teams. You run rings around them, you exhaust them, you run at them from every position. It was like I described it on a podcast a while back, Ryan. I think I don't even remember. I described Bielsa as gegenpress on steroids.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I kind of became aware of him was when he was at Bilbao, and they played United in the Europa League, and like this was under Ferguson, right? So like even if he had an average team, it was able to challenge for the title or come from the top four or whatever. And like whoever they played, usually they would give a good go, right? All the teams over the years, the Mancini, City, Wenger's Arsenal, Mourinho, even if they lost the league that year, it would be competitive. And the only other team that I've seen destroy that team is the Guardiola, generational talents of 2010-11, but that Atletico Bilbao team was just non-stop. Like, it absolutely destroyed that side in both legs. And this was like a team that was mid-table La Liga with a team that was trying to win the Premier League title. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I think there's a lot of reasons why we went wayward so quickly. Like, so Bielsa comes in. The staff that Bielsa has weren't paid by the club; they were paid by Bielsa. So he just got a stupidly high wage, but it wasn't for him; it was for everyone around him. He also had a mad attention to detail. So we got like relaxation pods built in. He wanted to get it torn down because he didn't like where the plug socket was put in half of them. So that's his attention to detail. So then also when he goes, all them staff who were on Bielsa's payroll, not Leeds payroll, they're gone. The head coach is gone. The players are all shattered because they've been running non-stop for about 3 years. Jesse Marsh comes in. I don't think he was bad, but apparently they got rid of a few of the stuff that Bielsa paid for, like the relaxation pods that I'd mentioned. Apparently they went. But Bielsa was... There's a rumour that he refused transfers all the time. I don't know how true it is. Like, I think it looks quite... Cause it's like the Athletic that's reporting something sometimes, and they're fairly decent. But then, okay, so if he's rejecting transfers, it's a little bit on him that we've got a low squad. But then you look at the transfers that are getting offered to him, and you're like, well, okay, maybe the director of football's not doing it right. Then you look at the funds that director of football's getting given, and thinking, what more can he do with that little amount of money, sort of thing. So I think there's just too much like small details that as soon as he was sacked, Jesse Marsh probably was just trying to make himself like liked by everyone around him.
Yeah.
You know, new job, you don't want to make someone angry straight away. Victor Orta was getting given peanuts to play with, and the owner was obviously rich compared to like, our standards, in normal people, but compared to Premier League football team, he wasn't like up there. So he's not actually got that much money to play with. Victor Orta hasn't been given that much money from him, and Bielsa just was like, nah, I can't. I'm not going to take rubbish players, which is a fair enough attitude to have. And then obviously Marsh comes in, he does his job fairly well. He keeps us up, fine, done his job. And we started off the season quite well, if you remember. Like narrow losses, or usually I think we were up there for the first few months, beating Chelsea 3-0 sort of thing. Then we went on a stupid run of losses. He went just after the transfer window. There was one game after we brought in Weston McKennie, if I remember. Like he was brought in before Marsh. And then he went, Gracia comes in, plays safer football, but then he just kind of I think he was awful, Javi Gracia. He seemed a really nice guy, but it's about inspiring as I don't even know, it's just not inspiring at all. It was just boring.
Yeah.
Like, but then they're just all Big Sam is, if you end up with Big Sam with 3 games to play, a lot, not just one thing's gone wrong, everything's gone wrong if you've got Big Sam with 3 games to play.
And how was like the kind of reinvestment of the money that you guys received the summer previous, in terms of Rafinha had went for a lot of money, Calvin Phillips had went for a lot of money, so that's probably like 120 million pound right there. Was that reinvested properly, or do you think that they kind of held back?
It depends who you ask. It's very like mixed between Leeds fans, rightly so. We've just been relegated, so everyone's quite emotional about transfers. But I thought
who do you think should go from that squad?
All the old players that. This is what Bielsa's issue was. He was too loyal to a few of these. And I think all the old players like Liam Cooper, Luke Ayling, Flick's already left, but players like that sort of calibre who were letting us down, like Patrick Bamford, he single-handedly could have kept us up if he scored even just 2 of his chances that he missed. I think they need to go
a lot, man. Yeah, like his form from 2 seasons previous to what the player he is now is. He's fallen off a cliff.
He'd struggle to get into like a few National League sides. He won't get into like Notts County or something.
You think he spent the last 4 years at Chelsea?
Yeah.
Well, he is a Chelsea academy product, is he not?
Yeah, he was at Chelsea.
You can't take the Chelsea out the boy, it would appear.
but like, these are the players that Leeds fans have recognised the liabilities for the past since before we got promoted. Like we knew these weren't good enough. It's just Bielsa made them look good. So now we had a more normal coach in Jesse Marsh, who wasn't a miracle worker. He was just a good coach. He can't get Bamford scoring. Like that miss against, was it Leicester? A few games before the end. It might have been a Gracia game. I don't know. Can't remember who was the manager. But it was harder to miss. And he's getting paid however much money a week. And I try to be nice on social media because I get that they're people, but the manager's still choosing to play him. And
Yeah.
then, like, you see our top scorer, Rodrigo, on the bench. Like, if you need goals, you don't bench your top goal scorer. Like, it was just stupid things like that. And then against Spurs, we played like 6 defenders, like, in a must-win game.
Yeah.
Like, I just 6 defenders who couldn't defend. Like, but yeah, recircling back to the investment bit, the new signing, like Brendan Aronson, average season. He had some good moments, some poor moments. That's expected. Sinisterra, really good, but he just kept getting injured. Tyler Adams, we were out the relegation zone, if I remember, until he got injured and he broke something, I think. So he was out. So if we can keep Tyler Adams, we'll be fine. Who else did we bring in? Oh yeah, Willie Nonto. Good player, didn't get
He's
played,
unbelievable, man.
but
He's
didn't get played.
unbelievable.
Yeah, really good.
The
But
couple of goals that I've seen him score in the cup this season were just absolute filth. Like you
just
just don't. I get it was against lower opposition. I think it was Middlesbrough or something. He
yeah,
scored them against.
but they're still
But
competent footballers, aren't they? It's not like he's doing it against the Sunday League side.
no, exactly,
Like,
man. And I think he'll be one of these guys. Me and Ryan spoke previously about
The Italian gold generation that's coming.
Italian golden
yeah,
generation. It's coming. What's the guy that the winger that's in? Is it Okaka or Onana? Oh,
drawing a blank. I don't know
it'll
who you
come back to me. It'll come back to me. But yeah, there's quite a few Italians that are coming through that are just, and he's certainly as good as any of them.
Yeah, I'm just hoping we can keep him. I don't think we can, but it doesn't seem like there's that much interest at the moment.
I suppose there might
Which
be
I don't.
like things like relegation clauses and stuff like that in some of these contracts as well, which might be a
Rodrigo was linked with Real Madrid for £3.5 million. Like, I get we'd just been relegated, but
yeah.
£3.5 million was apparently
I
his
think your
release
keeper
clause.
might go.
He was really good
Mesolier.
up until this season. Last season he was fine. He just had a piss poor defense. There you go. That's the parents angry now. But yeah, no, he's just confidence, no confidence at all. Like, there's no. He just looks defeated, doesn't he? Yeah, saw his
Yeah.
last few games. The subkeeper did all right, Joel Robles. But he was just a keeper. Who else did we bring in? Mark Rocker. He was a waste of money. He
Yeah,
started off all
Bayern
right,
Munich.
but £10 million, and I didn't like him. I just didn't think he added
Is
much.
he the guy from Bayern Munich?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think he showed glimpses of being all right, but it just didn't seem to click. Christensen as well, the wing back. I mean, he was just a harder version of Luke Ayling. Like, he still made simple mistakes, but at least he looked tough. So there was that going for him.
What about players that like are out on loan, like Dan James, who's obviously someone that Leeds had been following for ages, and
Yeah,
then they
Fulham
got
for like 3 years, then we send him to Fulham.
yeah,
Like, I think in the Championship he'll be all right.
yeah.
All right, I like Dan James. He just missed a lot, but he was quick, like rapid.
Mhm.
Who else? Gelder. I don't know why I put Gelder out on loan because he was like, if you remember last season, before we got relegated, Gelder was like made a few magic like last minute goals. Like, it was just quite a bit of magic for like last few minutes. Then he went out on loan. Charlie Creswell as well. He started making a few appearances in the first team, kept us up, and then was put to Millwall. He's good. Like,
Leeds doing a deal with Millwall. Jeez.
Yeah, you've got to be hard as well to be able to go to Millwall.
Yeah, 100%.
So him, I wouldn't mind him staying. Who else? We sent out Jamie Shackle, and he'd been with the club for a long time, always on the fringes. I liked him, but he's not good enough for the Premier League, and that's where we want to be. So I'd get rid of him.
What about players like Jack Harrison? Is he someone that you still think is going to be a first teamer, or do you think?
If he stays,
Mm.
I think Newcastle wanted him. I don't know if they still do. He seemed to be the only player that cared and like put effort in towards the last few games. Like, I don't think I saw. Like, we'll look at Weston McKennie. I don't think he ran up until his last maybe 2-3 games. I don't think he put effort in.
Well,
And
yeah,
it's
he's
too
on
late
loan
now.
from Juve, doesn't he? He knows he's going back, and he'll
Yeah,
get another
and I
move.
don't blame him. Yeah, like I said, if you know you're going back to Juve, what's the point? Like, who cares? But I don't think Jack Harrison will stay. I don't know why he'd stay. If he stays, there's an idiot. Like, if I was him, I'd have been away straight away. I'd have been like gone. Don't know why any of them are staying, to be honest. But Archie Gray's one to watch out for in the youth team, though. He's like a baller. His brother's meant better than him, though, but he's in like under 14s or something. But his brother's meant to be good. So, like, give it 10 years and we'll have like 2 Grays in the team and then we'll be all fine. That's what
Got
matters.
decent. He's got a decent player that he's got from Celtic a few seasons ago as well. Fjorhelde.
Oh
The
yeah, he was out on loan somewhere, I think. Where did he go?
um,
I don't
I
know, but
know
yeah,
he's
he's
been
good.
out on loan, but like he was a guy that was really highly rated at Celtic, and then
Yeah,
went to Leeds just kind of I think just as they were getting into the Premier League.
yeah, he did.
Um,
He
so
played.
yeah,
He played in the cup for us. He played a game for the senior team, and I thought he did really well. I think it was the cup though, so it's like against Crawley or something stupid. But he did all
you and
right.
I spoke a couple of episodes ago about just this like Norway kind of golden generation that's
Yeah,
coming through. You've got like Odegaard, you've got Haaland, you've got players like Helde. One of the highest rated prospects in Norway just went to Celtic, Thiago Holm. Um, I
2026 World Cup final, Norway v Italy at this rate. There you go.
Norway v Italy.
Norway
No, I,
lost.
What do you think about it? Sorry,
no,
Ryan.
no,
Norway
again,
lost recently. Who was that to?
Oh yeah.
Someone beat them recently. Don't know. Apparently they're beating a
yeah,
lot of teams at the moment. Who knows?
yeah.
uh,
Don't mind Scotland doing
We're
well.
only behind France in the form table just now.
well, here it's nice. It's nice to have a little bit of pharma. We've went through. Well, for my entire life, we've been absolutely garbage. So it's nice to see us be okay.
Celebrating 4 wins in a row.
What's
This
this?
sounds weirdly patronising, but I don't know why Scotland haven't like won a few more. 'Cause if you look at the past, they have had like some absolute ballers.
Yeah,
Like even just as a Leeds fan, our '70s team was pretty much Scottish. Like
Yeah.
our title winning teams were just like Billy Bremner, Eddie Gray, Peter
So
Lorimer. I think played for Scotland.
my dad went to World Cup 78, 82 and 86. And I think it was 82. No, sorry, it wasn't 78, it was 74. He went to 74, 82 and 86. And he spoke about the team at 82, and you had players like Souness, you had players like Kenny
Yeah,
Dalglish,
yeah,
Alex McLeish, you had that big Aberdeen squad at the time,
yeah.
and you had the best of Celtic and Rangers, and they got knocked out of the group stages every single time.
mm,
Like like pull off brilliant results against like Holland and Argentina and Brazil, and then they go and get beaten by Costa Rica
yeah.
or draw against Zaire, and it's just the
It's just
story of our
mad.
lives, man.
I
Yeah,
guess in a way, England we've been quite the same as well. Like our golden generation that did nothing, like struggled to qualify. I don't know how they can be called the golden generation. We've literally won the World Cup. Like that just doesn't add up.
I think
I
like
seen the real golden generation. That was Beckham, Rooney, Lampard,
But
Gerrard, Cole, Terry, Campbell. You
they
know
just
that.
yeah, but they didn't do anything together. That's the issue.
mm,
Together, innit?
I think it's like
I reckon if it wasn't for that Ronaldinho free kick, they'd have probably won that tournament. If they'd put Brazil out, they were the best team in it.
Yeah, but we didn't. Fortunately.
But I think it's all to do with like stability elsewhere as well. Like Scotland and England have both went through a lot of managers. Do you know what I mean? And there's been a lot of managers, maybe at England right now, that probably shouldn't be managing at that high level, depending on who you speak to. Like, what's your opinion
Yeah.
on Southgate? Are you of the mindset that he's done well, or are you of the mindset is how could he have not done so well with what?
He's done well, but I don't know how he's done well. Like
Mm,
he's our best manager, but his subs are stupid. His team selection doesn't make sense, but it works. So obviously he'll know more about me because he sees the players more than I do anyway. Like he sees them at all. But I don't know how he's done well because it just doesn't make sense. Like his subs are stupid. I think he's both got us far, but I think I think he lost us the Euros final, but he got us there, so it's his right to lose it if that makes
mm.
sense. Like,
There just seemed
if
to
I
be
was him, I'd have just resigned with my head held high after that. Like, I got to a final, didn't win it. Oh well.
like he doesn't seems to have a bit of bias, right? Because he continuously plays Harry Maguire, who is not performed at club level for what, like 3 years, maybe four.
Yeah.
And like you've got Fikayo Tomori out in Italy being an absolute rock wall for AC Milan. And he's
Yeah.
like, any chance I can get in the side, sir? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
no, we've got the fridge coming up. We're fine. But it's weirdly worked though, isn't it? Like a semi final in the World Cup and a Euros final, which
mhm.
only lost on penalties.
And it's weird, like
Wait,
Maguire seems to play like rather okay for England as well. Like he
yeah,
doesn't.
still not good though.
Yeah,
Like, it still doesn't warrant his place, but he doesn't. He's not a disaster. Like he's competent.
I've got to say about that team though that I think Bellingham's like going to be one of your top
Oh,
English players of all time.
yeah.
What he's doing at the age he's at just now, if he goes and does that for 10 years at Real Madrid, and then maybe a move back to the Premier League after that,
Oh God, yeah.
um, he'll probably go down as England best English midfielder of all time.
Mm.
Like,
He is good in it. It's mad. But I don't know, mate. Hopefully they can win some. So I guess if you look at the squad, you've got Bellingham, you've got Rashford's relatively. How old's Rashford again?
25, 25, I think. He's a year younger
Yeah,
than
so
me.
yeah, relatively young. Like just about hitting his peak, sort of thing. You've got Phil Foden. You've got how old's Tomori? He's mid
It
twenties.
must be 23, 24, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Again, so you've got all these that are just coming through and like hitting where they need to be. So I don't know. I think 2026 is the best shot we've had in a while.
Even the likes of like Declan Rice as well. Like that's kind
Declan
of
Rice,
like the
yeah.
pivot for England the next 10 years, isn't it? Him and Jude
And I think
Bellingham.
Harry Kane will be fine for the next few years. Although as much as he's obviously really good, right? I can't deny that. I still think he could have scored. He could score more.
Mm-hmm.
He does seem to like miss sitters, and I don't. And I hate saying it because he obviously scores a lot of goals, but I think he could score more. And I don't. I feel like that's going to be a memeable clip soon when he like eventually scores like 5 in a game.
Yeah.
But
I think he lacks a bit of ambition, Harry Kane, doesn't he?
yeah,
Because like he probably should have forced his way out of Tottenham
yeah,
long ago. And I think he's going to stay at Tottenham. I don't think he's going to leave. I
yeah.
think he's just going
Right.
to. So yeah, but who are some of your favorite managers to follow as like a neutral? Is there anyone that like you're really impressed with what they do that you try and take kind
Oh,
of pointers from in that?
oh. I really liked when he was with you guys. I liked watching Ange. I didn't watch much Scottish football before because I just didn't have an interest in it. But I did like if Celtic were on and I was free, I'd put it on. I did like that. Obviously now Bielsa, like I'm gonna watch all his Uruguay games because he's just a madman. I'm trying to think of someone that
and he's got
obviously,
the team at Uruguay to play that kind of football as well,
yeah,
hasn't
Yeah,
yeah. It's stupid not to say Pep Guardiola in it. Like
yeah. Mm.
just they play mad football. And I've been to a Real Madrid game last season, and they played really nice football, but it was really boring. So I don't know. I can't decide if I liked it or not because it was just they just kept the ball. They were just yeah. If I was the coach, I'd be chuffed, but as a spectator, it would like mega boring.
What do you
But
make
yeah,
of like
no.
managers like
Pep,
Deserby and stuff like that are upcoming? He's a bit of a lunatic as well, and he's done obviously amazing with Brighton.
yeah, I think obviously I'll watch it, but I don't want to say I'll follow him until I see if he recreates it somewhere,
Hmm.
sort of thing. Um, but yeah, I do like Brighton. I can't bring myself to watch any Premier League next season. I'm afraid. Like it's not getting anywhere near the TV. Um, although Barcelona's the club to keep an eye on, isn't it? Like they seem to be doing something.
I don't know how they're affording it, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like this isn't a specific manager, but I like watching the MLS. I think it's really got
it's
quite good now.
improving, isn't it? It is getting
Yeah,
better.
and 'cause I think they're trying to be innovative, like maybe trying a bit too hard, but I like it. I just yeah,
And if you
it's
look
nice
at
to
like
watch.
some of the players they've produced from North America recently,
Yeah,
like Alfonso Davies, Christian Pulisic, a few others as well, obviously Tyler Adams at
yeah,
Leeds. Like
Tyler
if you
Adams.
told us 10 years ago that like America and Canada would have a few players that are like well known around
Yeah,
Europe and would be scouted by top clubs and stuff like that, you would be like, no chance, you know? So
yeah. So yeah, I like as a league, MLS is just satisfying to watch. What about you guys? Anyone you like to follow? None of you say Bielsa. I'm leaving, by the way.
I mean, do you know what? Like, and it's not really for tactics or anything, but I'm someone that loves a good character, and there's no more
Yeah,
iconic character of football than Jose Mourinho. There just isn't.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like when he was talking about was it Frank de Boer at Crystal Palace, and Frank de Boer when he was like Man United manager said something like Rashford shouldn't be playing under Mourinho. I was like, you don't know what you've just put yourself in for next press conference. He's like, I
yeah.
just hear Frank de Boer, 0 goals, no wins, the worst manager in Premier League history. And
Yeah,
what was
I
he
find that I
said?
don't watch his football games, but I do watch his press
Yeah,
conferences.
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's football's honking, like, but
Yeah, yeah,
like,
football's making, but
but yeah, I used to
the
like him
press,
and Wenger. Like, the
yeah,
football rivalries, like, I think they're more like subtle now. Like Lee, I mean, we had a conversation in the car a couple of weeks back where we're like, we think there's genuine heat between Klopp and Pep, even though they come across as like nice. Whereas like 10, 15 years ago when it was like Ferguson and Mourinho, Wenger, Benitez, they would just be outing each other in press conferences weekly. You know what I mean? And like the Wenger and Mourinho one was my favourite. Like the specialist in favour and pushing each other on the sidelines and that. Like I couldn't get enough of it, to be honest. But
Let's circle back. So you know when you said if I could have a dream guest on the podcast, it'd be Wenger. I completely forgot, but oh my god, yeah.
Do you watch the documentary on him recently?
Yeah,
amazing.
His Invincible season.
Yeah,
it's the only documentary I paid for. Just I want to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked it, and I just think I don't think he's a madman. He's just really good at his job.
Yeah,
like
I mean that Arsenal team that he built when he first came over and that was just nothing like anyone had ever seen. You know, and it's kind of like what Pep's doing now, right? They're changing the game. And it's no coincidence, like, people that have worked under Pep are getting, like, the big jobs now, like Arteta and Xavi and Ten Hag and all the people that have kind of been involved with him, yeah.
I think if Sir Alex wasn't at Man U, Wenger'd be, like, the best manager of all time, sort of thing. 100%. But he's just very unfortunate that he just was the same time as Sir Alex at Man U. It's just very unlucky. But, yeah, no, I'd love... even just a 5-minute conversation with Arsene Wenger, I'd pay a lot of money for that. But yeah, no, he's class. It's not Bielsa.
I've got another football moment, but it's our favourite football moment this time. So I can start this time if you want, because I know exactly.
Yeah.
So Barcelona, Real Madrid, right? Which the only other football rivalry in terms of because politics gets into it and everything, which sometimes can be annoying and that, but it does make it more fierce. And the only rivalry that compares to Barcelona, Real Madrid's the Old Firm, in my opinion, when it comes to that. But it was back in 2006, so this was like prime Ronaldinho, Samuel Eto'o, Xavi and Iniesta, so on and so forth. And it was at the Bernabeu, and Barcelona have given Real Madrid some absolute beatdowns at the Bernabeu over the years. I remember it was like 5-6-1 when Messi scored a hat-trick. But anyway, Ronaldinho had made it 2-0, right? And he'd absolutely destroyed this defence of like Sergio Ramos when he was a right back, and I think Roberto Carlos was still there, and Pavon was one of the centre backs. And so 5 minutes later, he absolutely destroys the same defence again, right? They could not get near him, and he made it 3-0 Barcelona. And one of the most amazing things I've ever seen happen was the whole Bernabeu gave him a standing ovation. And I just found that crazy, because all the kind of ferocity and I guess hatred sometimes that the fans they put that to a side, because they witnessed something truly, truly incredible. And I thought that was like amazing, and it showed that like football is such a powerful sport in that sense, of where people will look over their kind of prejudices to each other to appreciate a great moment. So that's my favourite football moment of all time.
I've got two.
But so do I, so it makes me look less like talking.
Yeah, I've got two. James Van Vaden scoring against France.
Oh, in Paris.
Yeah, from 35 yards out. Just that doesn't need any other explanation, because we beat them. Still didn't qualify for the
I know.
World Cup.
Luca Toni knocked us out in the 96th minute. Oh.
That, and it was 2002. And I'm not going to say the final, but it was a semi-final when Celtic beat Boa Vista to make it to the UEFA Cup final. Because I'd never seen Celtic get to a European final in my lifetime, and I've not seen it since, obviously. But the semi-final, because I'd watched the whole run with my dad, and I remember how buzzing he was, and my dad's quite a, let's just say, a collected person. He doesn't get excited about, not too excited about much, but yeah, he was jumping about the place as well. So yeah, it was a big moment. But I would only been about, I think 11 at the time. Yeah. Dominic?
So I'm torn between two. Both of them are Leeds. They kind of made me really enjoy football, but I guess they're my favourite because they are Leeds. So either the whole of Bielsa's first game, because I used to be watching Leeds. I'd watch the full game of football, but I wouldn't be interested in a full 90 minutes. It's like you're watching a game and you start scrolling your phone at times or whatever. Under BLC, you wouldn't do that. His first game against Stoke, was it 3-1 or 4-1? It don't matter. We smashed them. They were lucky to get one, sort of thing. It should have been 3-0, but we can't defend. And that was just because we went from Paul Heckingbottom the summer before, and he's doing all right at Sheffield United now. But with us, he was honking. Marcel Bielsa in a like 6 weeks, I've got these guys playing. Like Pep would be jealous, sort of thing. Or the season that we went up, Metzala prints. They're on Twitter. Basically, they make like these print things as like goals that are like special goals. We can get a custom one. So I got one of the goal. It's like Pablo Hernandez against Swansea. It was quite late on. Was it 89th minute? I don't know. It was late on in the game, but it was basically not. It wasn't officially the goal that sealed us getting up, but it was at the point where we're like, yeah, we're up, sort of thing. Like we've got the momentum now. And it was just that went in, and it was just like mad around the house. Like living in Elgin, but it doesn't matter. As far as I was aware, I was going out on a street party or something. Like it was, I was gonna find a street party to go out to. So it was, yeah, Pablo and Anders scored. Although I was in Leeds when we went up, and I was nowhere near Ellen Road. Grandparents that lived there. We'd just arrived. The game that got us promoted was a Huddersfield game. I think Harvey Elliott scored or something. So someone completely random and not related to the Leeds scored. Whatever team. And there's like you could hear fireworks from Ellen Road. I remember being up all night watching the players' live streams on my phone. But nothing like the Pablo Hernandez goal. So when Pablo Hernandez scored that, you were like, we're actually like not bad at football. We're going up. Like that was mad. And he's a magician, Pablo Hernandez. Like he just aged like fine wine.
Yeah, he was a good player when
he wasn't fit enough, unfortunately, for Bielsa because he was like 35. He was
a kind of similar player to Santi Cazorla, if you remember him. He kind of reminded me. He was a number 10 when he played off the left sometimes as well.
Yeah, what I liked about Pablo is even if the game was naff, he just score easy days. Like, yeah, we're not doing all right. I'll just go score now. Like he just made it look so easy. Like I like to pretend I'm Pablo Hernandez when I'm not, but like everyone pretends they're Rooney when they score. I shout Hernandez if I score. Like,
yeah,
like, it's just. Well, I think he played a bit like our version when he got older. Our version of what Modric was. No, not quite Modric. He's not good enough as Modric, but like he was the old head that could just pull something out of the bag if need be. Like, but then he just wasn't fit enough for the Premier League because he was 35 and he'd had 2 years of Bielsa, so you can imagine he was a little bit shattered. I'd have kept him though. I think he's still playing in like the third tier of Spanish football in a club that he part owns. I'd have him back tomorrow. Like. In fact, I'd pay for his flight back. That's how much I'd have him back. So if he wants, I'll pay. It'd have to be Ryanair though, because I don't think I can afford anything nice.
Lee, you got any questions, dude? Because we're coming up on the 90-minute mark, so we'll
just in the time.
We'll one more question each if you've got any.
You want to do one more each?
Yeah.
I'll let you go first.
So we've got into the habit of kind of asking everyone we've had on this, Dominic, and it's just kind of a very, very general question, but it's what's one thing that you overthink?
This question?
Good answer.
Yeah, no, just everything I get. I don't, that's my issue, is that there could have been so much more I could have talked about, like how I get burnt out, but that's like, I'm doing a podcast about how I get burnt out soon, so this can be a plug for later. But the reason I think I get burnt out is just anything that I spend too much time trying to be right, that not for the sake of being right, just for the sake of not getting it wrong, sort of thing. Like I hate getting it wrong. That everything gets overthought.
There's like an element of like perfectionism there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, probably. So I can't pinpoint it on one thing because it is literally just everything will get overthought. Like I said, this question.
Welcome to Ryan's world.
But the thing is, like, it's interesting because everyone we've asked that question to has responded with the exact same thing, which I think is really, really interesting, and it shows.
It might be the question that puts people on the spot. You see, I like to pretend I'm a perfectionist. You see, that's what it is. I'm not actually. I don't care. I don't think at all. Just while I'm getting asked.
But I think it's a good thing that people hear that we're all very much similar in our kind of thoughts and feelings and that about whether we worry about something or overthink, and because we don't really talk about it as much, right? It's something that's usually we just kind of sit with. So I find it interesting so far that 100% record of who have asked that to's went everything apart from Bradley. He said his hairline, didn't he? So
fair enough.
My question is, what's the one thing that makes you happiest?
Just making other people happy. I find like when I'm done a session and everyone else walks off absolutely chuffed, I'm happy. Even if I absolutely bombed it and it just was minging, or like you just have a conversation with somebody else and they come off feeling better, unless it's someone I don't like, and then making them annoyed. I'm very might be bipolar. I don't know. Like I'm very one or another. Like I love either making someone happy or really annoying them. There you go. Hitting someone's extremes. There you go.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. Okay.
For the
Cheers
benefit
for that.
for the benefit of people that maybe haven't watched your podcast before that might want to check you out, where can they find you at, dude?
Spotify probably is the easiest for the podcast. I don't upload to YouTube anymore because I think we were chatting about it at the start. YouTube was just a ball ache at the moment. So Spotify, Facebook. I have got a Twitter and Instagram, but I find for podcasts I don't really enjoy using it for that. But yeah, Facebook's the easiest way. The world according to the autistic kid. I have to remember my name. I've got it on a little poster up there. But yeah, the name's subject to change. But that'll just come when I feel like I've found one that I like. I'm sure. I don't know. Will you tag me or is that asking too much?
100%.
Yeah, that's fine. You'll find me on these guys' posts. Then you see. There you go.
Links will be in the description, which I always hate saying because I feel like I'm in a proper TikTok era there. But I guess that's all that's left to say is thank you very much, dude, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you, mate. And Lee, we will speak again soon. The studio is actually nearly ready. I'm not just saying it, and we're going to keep doing Zoom. So
I'm going away to Foggies to have a few champagnes over last night's results. So.
A few elf bars, a few champagne.
Yeah, that'll do nicely. Okay, right, thanks, gents. I'm going to head off. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Right.
Cheers.
See you later, guys.